Hi everyone. This is a response video to Marc and Cora's tag that they recently did. Something that was denied us as Jehovah's Witness children that we have become obsessed with as adults. Um, I have actually two. One is due to denial that I always wanted to do, and the other one was based in fear. And I've talked a little bit about that, but I'm going to talk a little bit more. Now, these are not things that are, strictly and solely XJW, but I do see a correlation of my upbringing and why I am a little obsessed now. One of them is Halloween, and I think I was one of those kids that the holidays really, I was okay with not celebrating the holidays and not celebrating birthdays. You know, I was always a little jealous of the toys and stuff and the clothes, um, but not much. Where I really got jealous and I really felt left out was Halloween, because that sounded like fun. That sounded like so much fun, and I'm missing out. And as an adult, when I left the Watchtower, I started going to Halloween parties where I got to dress up, and it just became an obsession. I love dressing up for Halloween. I make clothes that are, Halloween themed. I have a lot of things with little touches in them. These are little bats in a jacket that I made. I just put all these little touches everywhere. And my husband and I, we go to a lot of things on Halloween, and we do Halloween really big. The first year we went to Disney for the Halloween parties down there, we were standing in line at every single trick-or-treat stand that they have set up. Because even though I had gone to the parties before, I had never gone trick-or-treating. And so that was a tradition for a couple of years was, we'd go trick-or-treating, and we'd end up with these huge bags of candy, and neither of us are really candy eaters, so we would always end up giving the candy away, but it was the going trick-or-treating that was important. And now I've gotten that out of my system a little bit, so we don't do the trick-or-treating anymore, but we still dress up, we still go out, we still have a ball, I still do my, the little touches in all kinds of different things. The second thing is horror movies, and I've talked about this before. There was kind of growing up in the 80s, the 70s and 80s, especially the pre-1975 stuff, it was a scary time for a kid. And, there's some of the talks. I know there's the horror in paradise talk that's going around, but some of the talks were truly terrifying. Dead bodies on the side of the road, and, the birds pecking the flesh and all that. And for a child with an active imagination, I could fill in the blanks of that very clearly, and it terrified me. And then you'd get home at the home with the old turn dial TVs. Whenever a commercial for a scary movie would come on, my mother would jump flying out of the chair to turn channel. And to me, seeing just that little snippet of it was always scarier than actually seeing it. So when I was probably about, 11, 12, maybe 13, one night I couldn't sleep, and I got up to watch midnight movies on TV, and there was a double feature that was playing. And the TV had an earpiece, a single earpiece that would plug into the TV. So I put in the earpiece, and I'm listening to the TV, and I'm listening for my parents because I don't want to get caught, and I'm flipping through the channels, and I see Night of the Living Dead. I didn't know it was Night of the Living Dead, but it grabbed me enough that I was interested in what was going on. Scared the snot right out of me. I mean, I had nightmares for a long time. But it was also a double feature. So right after that was Trilogy of Terror. And I could not get enough of that movie. Night of the Living Dead scared me to death. Trilogy of Terror scared me, but not the same way. I didn't have nightmares about it. But later on, I became kind of a horror fan. I started seeking out horror to desensitize myself. You know, like watching Night of the Living Dead, that was this is must what it'd be like if there's dead bodies around kind of thing. And so I'd watch a lot of horror to try and desensitize myself so that when Armageddon came, I would have already seen some of this stuff and it wouldn't be so scary to me. And in the process, I became an absolute horror fanatic. I love horror. And if those of you, for those of you that are not familiar with Trilogy of Terror, one of the most famous Trilogy of Terror is like 3 little stories. And one of the most well-known stories, whether you've seen the movie or not, you recognize this.
He who kills. Boy, are you ugly.
Now that is called a Zuni fetish warrior doll. And one of the things that my husband, because he knows I have a special affinity to that particular movie, got me one year, my very own Zuni fetish warrior doll. And if you will take a close look, you will notice that I have not removed the chain, and I won't remove the chain. And for those of you who have seen the movie will know why. But I'm a big fan of horror, zombies, vampires, ghoulies, ghosties, goblins, all that kind of stuff. I'm actually more a fan of that kind of stuff than I am about the murder mysteries and things like that. I prefer the fantasy side of things, the stuff that's not real, to the somebody that could be living down your street kind of thing. So I like the real outlandish horror. But it is a running joke in my house, and I do have kind of an obsession, and I get gifts all the time. It's beginning to look a lot like zombies. The Zombie Night Before Christmas. Secret Santa one year from XJW3 is my zombie doorstop. I have True Blood from the Vampire Show. I have Zombie Blood transfusions, which is a double joke. Just all kinds of fun. So that's my video response. This is kind of my obsession, Halloween, horror movies, and tag to the next person. You're it. Bye. Talk to you later.